Hey, so, as some of you know, I've wanted to make commentary videos for quite some time now. Unfortunately, because of my verification and other stuff getting in the way, I never really had the time to make this type of content. However, with CBF walkers being talked about so often, and me being behind most of them, I thought I would go ahead and talk about this topic, leaving my verification on the side for now. Of course, as you can see in the title, I wish to offer a solution to the problem, something that I haven't seen anyone do yet. However, before I do that, I need to address a video that Wavix made because he attempts to state that CBF walkers don't make sense with my solution requiring a very specific kind to work correctly. I'll quickly deny all of his points. His first point is that they could break in the future and are already ineffective. Thankfully for me, Wavix did not make the proper research before making his video. He spends 8 minutes talking about CBF walkers, and Kazetsu isn't mentioned once. The reason Kazetsu is important is not only because it was the first list level to have been verified with a CBF walker in it, but because it is already rated and the CBF walker in question isn't skippable. With that said, they are not ineffective, they are flawless if built correctly. And yes, they could break in the future. But here's the thing, when you have a team of moderators that is willing to bug fix every 2.2 demon to assure it works correctly, I can assure you removing one orb from maybe a total of 50 levels by the time CBF is implemented into the game, if it even is, won't be a problem. His second point is that the demon list allows CBF, so most people will still play the levels for list points after getting around the blocker. This is objectively wrong, because you can't get around the blocker. The third and final reason is that it causes drama. This is double standards, and it's quite easy to explain why. When CBF was allowed on the list, Wavix did not have a problem with that, even though that caused plenty of drama. There were multiple people that were heavily against CBF being allowed, the most notable of them probably being Aeon Air. This argument doesn't make sense. With that said though, I would also like to state that there are some things in this video that I do agree with, and this is one of them. I feel like it's important to state that. And I'll just let Wavix speak for this one.
W.A.V.E, the creator of Nullscapes, added some triggers that make it so that if you are using the clicks between frames mod while playing the level, this message pops up and then you die. So this obviously pissed a lot of people off. Now here's the thing, okay? I've seen a lot of people defending Kiba and saying that obviously he should be allowed to do whatever he wants with his own level, which I do agree with and we'll get into that more later. This message is unnecessarily hostile for like zero reason.
I completely agree. Obviously when you have a majority of the community wishing for CBF to be allowed on the list and seeing it as legitimate, calling people that use it a loser is stupid, especially when it gives advantages to people with lower hand hardware. With that said though, I'm done with the Wavix video. I'm gonna talk about the problem itself, to talk about my solution afterwards. The best way to explain this problem is by talking about the example of Kazetsu. Taiaga was tasked with verifying this level as a top 20. He could do this in two ways. He could make it a top 10, which would assure it would be top 20, worst case scenario, even with CBF, or he could make it top 15, maybe 16 even, and add a CBF blocker into it. That is what he did, obviously, because verifying a top 10 for it to place at 20 is absurd. The level has been rated, the level already has a victor, and it appears that it will place around that area. This is the first reason why you would want to add a CBF blocker into your level, to preserve the difficulty. There is, however, a secondary reason that is often not talked about, and that is balancing. I would talk about my verification because it has the same problem, but not everyone knows that level as well as Slaughterhouse, so this obviously is a better example. There have been already people complaining about this, but in case you don't know, with CBF, the pre-drop of Slaughterhouse is much harder due to being able to fail in ways that you normally wouldn't, and the timings in general just being harder. This obviously changes the balancing of the level as a whole, has the level play in an unintended way that the verifier never wished. With that said, I'm going to go over my solution to tackle both of those problems to try and make playing for the verifier more enjoyable and playing for those that wish to use CBF more enjoyable because they will be able to use CBF. To do that though, I need to open my game, so give me 1 second. Say hello to the Yang here. This level was supposed to have a normal CBF blocker just like the one, say, on Kazetsu, because Norami wanted one in. When I contacted Norami to add the CBF blocker, I asked if he was interested in a different version of the blocker. one that wouldn't stop you from using CBF entirely, but instead would alter the level when CBF was used to make things more fair for everyone. Obviously he agreed, and this is how it works. Right at the beginning of the level, as you can see here by showing the layout, give me a moment please for this to load. Alright, you have a bunch of skulls. These skulls can only be hit when you have CBF on, and when hit, they toggle triggers. What those triggers do is modify the level partially to make it so that it behaves in a way that has roughly the same balancing and same difficulty as the one the verifier had to go through. So, in the end, not only does the verifier not have to worry about their level being easier, but the people with CBF don't have to worry about not being able to use CBF. And additionally, the people that wish for CBF to be added into the game, aka basically everyone, also don't have to worry about CBF blockers maybe stopping that from happening, because this creates two different versions of the level that Rottmayer will obviously acknowledge. That is not what Rottmayer wants. Rottmayer wants levels to have one and just one version. That is exactly why he built the physics that we have today. Normalized physics regardless of frame rate. With this in mind, this is certainly better than the current CBF blockers that we have now. It makes it fair for verifiers, and it makes it much more fair for people that wish to use CBF because they can actually use CBF. With that said, if you have any ideas that could make this any better, feel free to actually let me know, because I could try to genuinely add them in. So, there you go. This is the end of my yapping session, as I have explained the solution. If you have any other topics that you would wish for me to cover, I can probably do that in the future. Maybe after my verification, I really need to get that out. Besides that, feel free to leave a comment. Just don't harass people for no fucking reason over a cube game, please. It's not that deep. And that's it. Have a good day. See ya.